Today, we were going to talk about the interpretative social science.
Good evening, and today we're having a discussions about defining interpretative social science. Social science claims that people create and associate their own subjective meaning as they interact with the world around them. Our knowledge of reality is socially constructed, thus there is no objective reality. It is one of the three broad paradigms in the social sciences, which is sensitive to the context. An interpretative social science is a focus on understanding how individuals create subjective meanings from their interactions with the world and how these meanings shape their actions and social reality. So here's some common questions about interpretative social science. Una po ay, ano po yung interpretative social science? Ito yung pag-aaral ng lipunan na nakafocus sa pag-intindi ng kahulugan sa likod ng mga kilos, salita o paniniwala ng tao. Gusto na itong maintindihan kung bakit ganun ang iniisip o ginagawa ng mga tao, kung ano yung nararamdaman nila sa sitwasyon na yun. And the last one is, bakit mahalaga na tanungin o intindihin ang feelings o pananaw ng mga tao. Bawat tao may sari-sariling kwento yan, may sari-sariling pananaw. Para mas maintindihan ang isang issue ng lipunan o bawat isa, kailangan natin pakinggan ang mga boses nila. Interpretative social science has two main approaches: hermeneutic phenomenology and symbolic interactionism. A hermeneutic phenomenology focuses on a real-life experience. The goal here is to understand what those experiences meant to that person who lived them. It's not just about describing what happened, it's about making sense of it on a deeper level. Let's just say you're a studying students who are working while studying. You interview them and ask, how does it feel to be a working student? What moments were the hardest or most meaningful to you? Then, instead of just listening to their answer, you reflect on them. You try to understand what their stories say about struggles, purpose, and or sacrifice. You're not just collecting the answer. Actually, you're just trying to understand their personal meaning behind their experiences. A symbolic interactionism it's about how people give meaning to things based on how they interact with the others. That thing can be a place, an object, or even a word. That meaning can change depending on who you are with or what the situation is. Example, the teenage boys who hang out at a certain street corner, which is their tambayan. To outsiders, it's just a random spot. But to the boys, it could be mean for them friendship, freedom, or safety. Through interviews of observation, you find out what do they always met there. What does the place represent to them? Because it's special to them. In short, you're studying how the meaning of a place is shaped by how people use it and what it means in their social world. Ito yung salita na special sa kanila, kaya natatawag nilang tambayan, kaya lagi dun sila nagkikita. Kasi dun sila nasanay sa salitang tambayan na yun and sa place na yon, doon na sila nakikita kapag gumagala sila. Yun na yung meeting place o meet up place nila. Kaya, para sa kanila, yun na talaga yung place na place na sila lang yung nakakaalam or yun lang yung mapupuntahan nila kapag makikita sila. Which is, it's special to them.
Hermeneutic phenomenology. All about theory, reflection, and having a description of lived experience with reflective interpretation to understand their deep meaning. So, hermeneutic phenomenology is a philosophy that helps understand human experience by interpreting their meanings. Hermeneutic phenomenology is a way of understanding people's experiences by interpreting what those experiences mean to them. It combines studying experience phenomenology with interpretation with hermeneutics. Historical content. This idea began with Edmund Husserl, a German philosopher in early 1900s. He wanted to study things based only on how they appear to our minds. He believed we should accept our personal beliefs and just focus on our experience itself. This was called bracketing. So, historical content. Ang ideyang ito ay nagmula kay Edmund Husserl, isang German philosopher noong early 1900s. Gusto niyang pag-aralan ng mga bagay base lang sa kung paano ito lumabas o nagpapakita sa ating isipan. Naniniwala siya na dapat natin munang ipagsantabi ang paniniwala at tumutok lamang sa mismong karanasan. Tinawag niya itong bracketing o pansamantalang pag-isasantabi muna ang ating opinyon o bias.
Okay, one of the key concepts of hermeneutic phenomenology is that the importance of understanding the world from other people's perspective. And hermeneutic phenomenology is a qualitative research that seeks to understand the meaning of lived experiences.
So, let us now move on sa thinkers and contribution. We have first Martin Heidegger. He is the founder of hermeneutic phenomenology. He said that we cannot just describe experience, we must also interpret them. So, si Heidegger, student siya ni Husserl, which is yung ama ng phenomenology. Siya yung nagsabi na mahalaga na wag mahawa yung pag-aaral natin ng own opinions, beliefs, and preconception natin. And nakikita niya talaga si Heidegger as someone who is really smart. And then also, ang ginawa ni Heidegger is in-expand niya pa yung phenomenology at nagbigay siya ng bagong pananaw kaya nabuo si hermeneutic phenomenology. And ang sabi ni Heidegger, hindi daw pwedeng hiwalay yung sarili natin habang nag-i-interpret tayo, contradicting sa sinabi ni Husserl na teacher niya. Sabi niya, dahil nag-i-exist tayo, meron tayong experience na binibigyan natin ng meaning. Kaya doon papasok yung Dasein, or ibig sabihin is being in the world. Da means here, and sein means of being. Ibig sabihin, hindi lang tayo basta-basta human beings. Konektado tayo sa mundo na ginagalawan natin, sa mga bagay na nakapaligid sa atin, at sa mga taong nakakausap natin sa pang-araw-araw. Dasein ka, dasein ako, and dasein tayong lahat, at least for Heidegger theory. For example, ang bato. It will not think if mababasa ba siya pag umulan, kung ano yung mapipil niya kapag umulan, at bakit umuulan. Pero dahil ikaw, tao ka, maiisip mo kung bakit kaya umuulan, ano kaya mararamdaman mo kapag umuulan, mababasa ka ba? And something in that sense. So we have here Hans Georg Gadamer, Understanding Through Dialogue. He said we are always influenced by history and culture, and that is not bad. It actually helps us to understand. So, si Gadamer, na-expand niya yung theory ni Heidegger into practical application. Sabi niya, nai-impluwensyahan daw ng history at ng kultura yung pag-unawa natin sa bagay-bagay. At nangyayari daw ang pag-intindi through dialogue kapag nakikipag-usap ka, nagtatanong kayo sa isa't isa, nag-e-explain, nag-change, nagpapalitan ng opinion. Sa bawat palitan na yon, sa bawat palitan ng dialogue, naiintindihan nyo yung isa't isa or mas naiintindihan nyo. And napasok doon yung fusions of horizon. Horizon, yun yung pananaw natin. For example, may friend kang taga-ibang bansa na galing sa culture na different sa'yo. Kunyari, or halimbawa, galing sa ibang bansa na kung saan yung group, yung kapakanan, yung inuuna nila or importante sa kanila. While sa'yo, personal na kalayaan at kapakanan ang mas pinapahalagahan mo. You having that mindset is na self or sarili yung mas mahalaga, and para sa kanya naman, yung importante is mapahalagahan yung pamilya at komunidad. Imbes na mag-argue or mag-away kayo, kung ano man dun sa dalawa yung mas mabuti, iintindihin nyo yung sinasabi ng isa't isa. Nagkakaroon kayo ng new understanding o yung fusion of horizons. Lumalawak yung horizon mo upang isama yung pananaw niya and vice versa sa kanya. Now move on this strength. First, deep understanding of human experiences. It helps us to explore how people really feel and think about their experiences. Ang layunin ng paraang ito ay hindi lamang alamin yung mga panlabas na kilos o gawi ng isang tao, kundi ang mas malalim na dahilan sa likod ng mga ito. Ang kanilang nararamdaman, iniisip, at kung paano nila binibigyan ng kahulugan yung own experiences nila, and sa pamamagitan ng qualitative methods like interviews, narratives, and reflections. Second is respect personal context. Respect people, backgrounds, culture, and emotions. We know that everyone's experience is different from us. Kinikilala na ang karanasan ng bawat individual ay natatangi at hinuhubog ng kanilang sariling kultura at emosyon. Hindi pwedeng ipagpalagay na pare-pareho yung magiging pagtugon ng lahat ng tao sa isang sitwasyon dahil sa iba't iba nating pinagmulan. At isa pa, ito ay paggalang kung saan nagmula yung mga tao or kung saan sila nanggagaling. Third is explore not just the behavior as why they do it and why it means to them. Hindi lang ang ano ang ginagawa ng isang tao, kundi bakit at paano niya ito ginagawa at ano yung kahulugan nito para sa kanya. Next is criticism. First, time consuming. Interviews and reflections take a lot of time and effort. It is not as fast and straightforward as other methods. Yung pagkuha ng malalim na pag-unawa sa karanasan ng tao needed ng nasusing pag-aaral, mahabang panayam, and detailed na pagsusuri ng datas. Second is too personal and emotional. It deals with people, feelings, and interpersonal stories. Some people say that it feels like or it is more like storytelling. Yung pamamaraan na to, tumututok siya sa damdamin at personal na karanasan. So, mahirap maging objective. And minsan ay nagiging emotional, just like what the slide said. And next is risk of over-interpreting. The people who ask might read too much into what someone says. Dahil ang pag-unawa ay batay sa interpretasyon ng mga nag-aaral, ay maaaring maglagay ng sobrang kahulugan sa sinasabi ng isang tao.
Let's discuss symbolic interactionism. Focuses on how individuals use symbols and language to create meaning and shape their social reality through interaction. Historical context The symbolic interaction perspective emerged from the sociological analysis of Med, and it was Herbert Blumer who took Med's ideas and developed them into a more systematic sociological approach. Blumer coined the term symbolic interactionism in 1937, keeping this sociological perspective alive through the early 1950s at Chicago. Symbolic interactionism looks at individual and group meaning making, focuses on human action instead of large-scale social structures. Symbolic interaction is also called symbolic interactionism, is a major framework of sociological theory. This perspective relies on the symbolic meaning that people develop on, rely upon in the process of social interaction. It analyzes society by addressing the subjective meanings that people impose on objects, events, and behaviors. Subjective meanings are given primacy because it is believed that people behave based on what they believe and not just on what is objectively true. That's all. Thank you po.
Good evening. We're discussing about symbolic interactionism. Symbolic interactionism focuses on how individuals use symbol and language to create meaning and shape their social reality through interaction. The symbolic interaction perspective emerged from the sociological analysis of George Herbert Mead. Herbert Blumer, 19 to 1987, took Mead's ideas and developed them into a more systematic sociological approach. Blumer coined the term symbolic interactionism in 1937. He kept this perspective alive through the early 1950s in Chicago and later in California as a professor at the University of California, Berkeley. Blumer interpreted Mead's analysis with emphasis on social interaction, significant symbols, meaning, communication, talking on the view of the other, the self as a process. Concept. Meaning. Meaning is not inherent in objects and action, but is created and negotiated through social interaction. Language. Language central tool for creating and communicating. Meaning in symbolic interactionism. Thought. Acknowledge the importance of processes in shaping individual behavior. The self. The looking glass self is a key idea suggesting that individuals develop their self concept based on how they perceive others' view term. Self. The looking glass self is a key idea suggesting that individuals develop that their self concept based on how they perceive others view them. Interaction. Process through which individuals create and share meaning, develop a sense of self, and negotiate social reality.
We were going to talk about naman the thinkers and contributors of the symbolic interactionism. So we were going to discuss about their contribution and their thinking when it comes in symbolic interactionism. So first one is Mr. George Herbert Mead. He is an American philosopher, sociologist, and psychologist. He was one of the key figures in the development of pragmatism. Mead's major contribution to the field of social psychology was his attempt to show how the human self arises in the process of social interaction, actually, especially by way of linguistic communication or what we call symbolic interaction. To social psychology, Mead's main contribution was his attempt to show how the human self arises in the process of social interaction. Si George Herbert Mead ay isa sa pangunahing tauhan na nag-ambag sa pag-unlad ng pragmatism. Tatandaan, ang pragmatism ay isang filosofiyang nagsasabi na ang kahulugan ng ideya ay isang praktikal na epekto nito at ang katotohanan ay patuloy na nabubuo sa karanasan at interaksyon. Ito ang pundasyon ng kanilang isip. ang pangunahing ambag ni Mead sa larangan ng social psychology ay ang pagtataka niya kung paano ipinapakita ng tao, kung paano ang sarili ng tao, like paano nabubuot lumilitaw sa proseso ng panlipunang interaksyon, lalo na sa paggamit or pamamagitan ng komunikasyong linguistiko o wika. Ayon din kay Med, ang pagkatao mo hindi lang basta dala pagkapanganak, nabubuot, hinuhubog ito habang nakikipag-ugnayan ka sa ibang tao, at ang wika ang pinakamalagang tool para mangyari ito. Meron ding konsepto si Mead. Ang sabi rin ni Mead ay hindi lang basta-basta utak o bahagi ng biology ang isip. Isa rin itong bahagi ng panlipunang phenomenon na nagbubuo sa pamamagitan ng interaksyon at wika. Dun sa sinasabi ni Mead na ang pagkatao mo hindi mo lang basta-basta dala pagkapanganak, nabubuo ito at hinuhubog ito sa pakikipag-ugnayan sa ibang tao. At ang wika ang pinakamalaking tool. For example, in the way of interaction or like kung paano tayo makapag-interact sa tao, doon natin mas nakikilala ang sarili natin kung paano o saan tayo mas komportable. So, the second contributor was Herbert Blumer. So, Herbert Blumer was an American sociologist whose main scholarly or symbolic interactionism and methods of social research. He was an aid interpreter and proponent of Mead's social psychology and that interactionism. He argued that the creation of social reality is a continuous process. Si Herbert Blumer ay isang Amerikanong sosyologo na ang pangunahing focus sa pag-aaral at pananaliksik ay ang symbolic interactionism at ang mga pamamaraan ng panlipunang pananaliksik. Siya ay isang malaking tagapagpaliwanag at tagapagtaguyod ng social psychology ni Mead. Ibig sabihin, siya ang naglinaw at naglaganap ng mga ideya ni George Herbert Mead, lalo na yung tungkol sa interactionism o yung mga ideya ng interaksyon ang sentro ng lipunan. Ginigiit ni Blumer na ang paglikha ng panlipunang realidad ay isang patuloy na proseso. Si Herbert Blumer ang susi kung bakit naging formal at kinilala ang symbolic interactionism. Bilang isang teorya sa sosyolohiya, bagamat si Mead ang utak sa likod ng mga ideya, si Blumer ang nagbigay ng istruktura at direksyon dito. Narito ang ilan sa kanyang mahalagang ambag. Una, siya ang nagbigay ng pangalang symbolic interactionism, bagamat ginamit na ang ilang bahagi ng ideya. Si Blumer ang formal na nagpangalan ng teorya noong 1937. Ito ang nagbigay ng identidad at pagkakakilanlan sa perspektibong ito. Ang mga tao ay kumikilos batay sa kahulugan na ibinibigay nila sa mga bagay. For example, kung ang pera may kahulugan sa iyo bilang kapangyarihan, ganun mo ito gagamitin. Ang mga kahulugang ito ay nagmumula sa panlipunang interaksyon sa ibang tao. For example, hindi ka pinanganak na alam ang kahulugan ng pera. Natutunan mo ito sa iyong pamilya at sa lipunan. Ang mga kahulugan ito ay binabago at pinaproseso sa pamamagitan ng interpretasyon habang nakakaranas ang mga tao ng iba't ibang sitwasyon. Halimbawa, pwedeng magbago ang kahulugan ng pera sa iyo kung bigla kang yumaman o maghirap. Para sa kanya, upang maunawaan ang kahulugan na ibinibigay ng mga tao sa kanilang mundo, kailangan ng mananaliksik na ilagay ang sarili sa posisyon ng individual na pinag-aaralan at tingnan ang mundo sa kanilang pananaw. Ngayon, nagdadako na tayo sa kalakasan at criticism ng symbolic interactionism. So we will go first to its strength. The strength of symbolic interactionism is the micro-level focus, flexibility, and insights into meaning making process. The interactionism perspective is that you can understand someone's behavior because of the society around them. The other side It is the ability to explain how shared meaning are developed. It means ang pangunahing lakas o kalamangan ng symbolic interactionism ay ang pagtutok nito sa micro-antas or micro-level focus. Ibig sabihin, sa maliit at pang-araw-araw na interaksyon ng mga tao, nagbibigay ito ng kakayahang umangkop o flexibility at malalim na pananaw o insight sa kung paano binibigay ng mga tao ng kahulugan ang kanilang karanasan. Dahil sa pananaw na ito, mas madali nating maiintindihan ang pag-uugali ng isang tao dahil sa lipunan sa kanyang paligid. Ibig sabihin, hindi lang basta individual ang tinitingnan, kundi ang kahulugan na nabubuo niya mula sa kanyang kapaligiran at pakikipag-ugnayan ang kanyang nagpapaliwanag ng kanyang kilos. Ayon din doon, may kakayahan din ng teorya na ito na ipaliwanag kung paano nabubuo ang mga ibinahaging kahulugan or shared meanings. Ibig sabihin, paano tayo nagkakasundot sa kahulugan ng mga bagay? Bagay, salita at kilos. Halimbawa, kung paano tayo nagkasundo na ang pagtaas ng kilay ay maaaring nangangahulugang pagdududa o ang isang singsing sa daliri ay nangangahulugang kasal. Ngayon ay dadako na tayo sa criticism ng symbolic interactionism. So, criticism naman ng symbolic interactionism is that it's neglecting broader social structure and power dynamics, critics argue. It focuses too narrowly of micro-level interactions, potentially overlooking the influence of larger social forces and institutions. So, it says that ang isang pinakamalaking puna o batikos sa symbolic interactionism ay ang pagbabadya nito sa mas malalaking istruktura ng lipunan or broader social structure at ang mga power dynamics. Sinasabi ng mga kritiko na dahil masyadong nakatuon ang symbolic interactionism sa mga individual na interaksyon, hindi nito sapat na kinikilala ang malaking impluwensya ng mga klase sa lipunan, gobyerno, ekonomiya, kasaysayan at kung paano ang kapangyarihan ay naaapekto sa mga interaksyon at pagbuo ng kahulugan. Nagsasabi rin na masyadong makitid ang pagkatutok nito sa mga micro-antas na interaksyon. Dahil dito, maaaring napapansin o nakakaligtaan nito ang impluwensya ng mas malalaking puwersa sa lipunan. Ang mga institusyon, tulad ng edukasyon, relihiyon, batas at pamilya na humuhubog sa pag-uugali ng tao sa kanilang mga interaksyon.